Hello everybody, it's me, your boy RetroWolf64, and well, obviously I'm going to be doing a Mini Prix because, well, Grand Prix is not going to be happening for a while, so I want to do something or other, I don't know. So, hey. Yeah, I got nothing. I really have nothing, honestly, at this point. I'm not sure if I was just saying, like, the fact that I've done so many of these, in such a short amount of time that I haven't really given myself a break, or if it's just me, like, herp, derp, no thoughts, head empty, experiencing the brain rot or something. But, I'm sure I'll think of something in due time. Oh, right, because it's a Mini Prix, not a Grand Prix, so it's gonna have fewer tracks. Duh. Clearly, I know all the things and the stuff and the things. Clearly, I know what I am doing. Yes, me. The guy who does the thing with the stuff and the stuff with the thing. I don't know, does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I'm sure it does. I don't know. And of course, while all that was going on, I got sent to here. The bane of my existence. Port Town. No, actually, what am I thinking? This isn't Port Town, this is a freaking Mute City. Got the colors mixed up and everything. Clearly, I'm awake. I am so totally awake and alert and stuff. Clearly, I know what I am doing. Yes, me, RetroWolf64. I'm not sure if I've introduced myself in these videos before. Good gracious. But anyways, and speaking of F-Zero and stuff, I do kind of want to get around to like F-Zero GX at some point. Just I don't think I have a viable way of recording the game. I don't even think I have the console to record F-Zero GX. So I don't know. Maybe I should just save up one day. I mean, thing is, I'd have to like justify spending money on consoles I don't own yet, because thing is, right, like, things cost money, right? That's just sort of the world that we all live in. You exchange money for goods and services. And thing is, like, right, like, if I'm gonna spend money on something, I want to make sure that I'm spending money on something that I could, arguably, justify spending the money on. Like, I want to spend money on something that is going to be worth my time, and also worth the amount of money that I spent on. Basically, I want to get my money's worth of whatever I purchase. So I essentially had to like find out whatever console F-Zero GX is on, which I think is GameCube, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know. I'm just guessing here. But like, I'd have to essentially like find whatever console F-Zero GX is on, and then look through the entire video game catalog, and then like decide whether or not I want to justify spending the money on that console. When thing is, I have a Switch. There's a lot of good games coming out for the Switch. I'm sure by the time this goes up, the remake for Super Mario RPG will come out. Which, good gracious, man! I remember playing the original, like, let's think about a year or so ago at this point. I think it might even been a couple of years by the time this goes up. But I've been seeing like screenshots and whatnot between the original and the remake. Graphics wise, it's looking real solid. Not sure about like the gameplay animations, but I've heard a couple of the tracks, like the remake, at least in the tracks in the remake for Super Mario RPG, and it sounds actually pretty solid overall. Like, I know in the past, from what I've experienced, like soundtracks for remakes could be pretty hit or miss. Which I know with the remake for House of the Dead, I listened to that whole soundtrack for the, between the original and the remake. The remakes for House of the Dead, I don't know, just kind of falls flat. I'm not really sure like the whole story behind that. I'm sure there's a reason why it's like hugely different to some degree in the remake. And I know for like the Mario and Luigi remakes, like for Superstar Saga and then Bowser's Inside Story, like those are kind of different as well. Which, I'd say those are alright overall, just not really kind of like capturing the whole, like, I guess, energy of the original. But I know for the remake for Live Alive, which I know, here I go again with that crap. Basically, I've listened to both the original and the remake soundtrack, and honestly, it sounds really solid. And obviously, I've played it, and it holds up really well. And I can't say I have played, a bit of the original before playing the remake, so I can at least say that I've had, some amount of experience with the original before playing the remake. I can say, like, the remake for Live Alive is really solid. Give yourself, give it a try if you haven't already. I'd seriously recommend it. I know it's on Switch and I believe PlayStation 4 and 5 now, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, give it a try. I definitely recommend it. And here we go with Port Town. Sorry, I had to yawn there. I don't know why I mixed up this with friggin' Mute City 3. I guess I really am experiencing the brain rot today. Question is, how well can I do here? Because I've already made it, like, through 2 tracks, Just gotta make sure I make it through this one, and then I can say that I finally completed one of these. Because, goodness gracious, man, man. Also, yes, I am kind of focusing here a little bit. I want to make sure that I do well in the ways of the science and the F-Zero 99. That is what I want to do. That's right. I want to make sure I'm doing well. I don't even know why I'm talking like this. But I do know one thing. I like your funny words, Magic Man. I quote that line from Clone High every so often. I don't know why. I think it's just like really funny to kind of like say out of context. Just for something goofy to try to get people to laugh. Just like when people least expect it, just be all like, I like your funny words, Magic Man. But obviously, I want to do it where appropriate because, something, there's a time and a place for everything, Gotta make sure that I do things respectfully, especially in this day and age where there's, you're hearing all this negativity on the news, which I'm not going to go into. I don't want to have that kind of, put that kind of stuff out into the world on the interwebs. All I want to do is just vibe and play the video games, and occasionally quote the funny memes, and then, try to make people laugh and do that kind of stuff in my content. I hope that's fair enough. Come on, I'm so close! No! No! Dang nabbit! I was right there! I was right there! And I crashed myself out! I crashed myself out! Dang it! Come on! I had that too. Man. Oh, jeez Louise. I was literally right at the finish line, which sucks so much. It really does. Urgh. Angry. Frustration. Disappointed. Ah, come on. It's frustrating because I was right there. That's why I'm so frustrated, honestly. I was literally right at that finish line. Frick, man. I'm sure one of these days I'll win one of these something.